once you open your mind to the embarrassment of riches that this total disruption of basically all business models is, this is the biggest opportunity anybody's ever going to be given in their entire lives. And what we're doing right now is fighting over small parts of it. And it just drives me so crazy when the opportunity for everybody is enormous. Sam, you run capital, and you know what happens in January? Everyone gets their P&L reset to zero. What are you going to do? If you come back in the office, it's Jan 6th or whatever date you get back, you're going to have to put money to work.
Exactly.
And every hedge fund is going to do the same. And we see this in financial markets always. You get this January, I call it the January effect, but it usually drags on to Jan, Feb, and then you get a reversal. Sometimes it goes to March, but all of the key themes, everyone goes, right, this is the theme for the year. They pile on the risk and everyone gets washed out later on. That kind of feels like.
Especially in I feel like a year when a lot of hedge funds have underperformed, right? They had great 2020s. A lot of people, bought the falling knife as soon as the Fed pulled out the bazooka in March. And then they traded kind of timidly this year and didn't capitalize on the melt up. And to your point, now they got fresh P&Ls and, Bitcoin is looking as good, and crypto and Ether and other broader tokens are looking as good as ever. It could, that same effect you just described could be exacerbated by the way 2021 has played out relative to 2020.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, Raoul, we're talking about institutions. What do you think the biggest hurdle is for these guys coming in? I know you talked to a lot of them. What do you think the main thing is that's holding them back from coming into the space? Is it custodial? Is it regulatory? Is it just they just feel like it's foreign, so they just don't want to even touch it? Or
I don't see many hurdles left. Everyone's done a lot of work. We've all done a lot of work. All of us have tried to help as many people as possible. I think it's time. I think that many people will have made the decision this year and will start next year. I think, just speak to Fidelity and Coinbase. I mean, they're all onboarding. Have these people all put their money to work yet? No, but it'll be ongoing. So I think it's happening. I don't see any obstacles. What was really interesting is, I don't know how many, 50, investment banks and asset management firms and presenting about Bitcoin. And then I started getting ones just about Ethereum, which was fascinating. I hadn't seen that before. As people are broadening out in, okay, what else can we do in the space? The other constraint, the real constraint is human capital. It's not enough people who will go and work for an investment bank and trade crypto. So they're having to retool FX people. No disrespect, Sam, but they're having to retool FX people or rates people and get them into crypto and get them to build businesses because nobody can hire enough people. This space is growing so fast. I don't know what the space is up this year, probably 4x. So the whole space is up 4x, but the number of people able to navigate the space is not up anything remotely like that. So you've always got this gap of people. So I think that's the biggest problem of all. Like, some friends of mine run some absolutely enormous hedge funds, and they're trying to build a platform out for crypto traders. Can't get any. Just can't get any because people are making enough money on their own with a small amount of capital. It will change over time, but that's the biggest constraint I would say is people now.
How much do you think we see? Like, there's always going to. I know a lot of both Bitcoin maximalists and just crypto maximalists, think this is ultimately going to lead to the decentralization and ultimately disintermediation of every financial service. It becomes DeFi. I'm not of that opinion. I think people are always going to want some level of third-party responsibility because God forbid something goes wrong, they're going to want someone to blame. Where do you see that, the middle of that Venn diagram come in terms of integration of legacy systems, trading methodologies, and this new?
I think the big thing is the central bank digital currency. What that is the legacy world saying, okay, yep, we get it. We're moving to your world. That's the biggest victory. That's providing on-ramps. Biggest Trojan horse for Bitcoin and crypto adoption, I think, potentially. Of course it is. It's amazing for it, right? It's fantastic. But that's the legacy world saying, you're right. you guys saw this, you're right, we're going to build around you, so our world now integrates with yours. That's what they're doing. Make no mistake. So it's a really powerful thing. And so institutions get it as well. I think, broadly speaking, all the smaller tier banks, unless they have a hyper specialty like agricultural lending, are gone. The investment banks are far too smart and have known where this is going for a long time, and they will build around it. The securities industry, custody and all of that, that'll all go on blockchain, a lot of legal stuff, insurance stuff. It's all coming. And the central bank digital currency is actually the glue that makes it work. Oh, it's actually the oil that makes it work. It allows everything to flow around this ecosystem without the problems that it currently has of the clunkiness of one chain versus the other and everything else. And then that interoperability layer will just allow, you're never going to know. In 3 years' time, if I send you $1 instantaneously over my phone, you will not know or care what blockchain it was on.
Exactly.
Right now, we think it's a big deal. Oh, it came on the Lightning Network, or it came on the whatever payments. Nobody cares. I just want to send you $1 and you want to receive it.
Venmo, quick pay, direct deposit, doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
They will all use this technology because it's faster and cheaper. So you'll still use Venmo, but it may have gone via CBDC rails, or it might have gone via USDC rails, or it might have gone through something else.
Exactly.
Lightning, who knows?
Raoul, if you were to go into a coma for 10, 15 years, where do you kind of see the state of crypto, Bitcoin, in relation specifically to the legacy finance system? So if you woke up 10, 15 years later, how do you kind of, envision this when you close your eyes and kind of think through how this is all structured?
It's going to be much larger than the existing system because it's so much more than just finance. This is the culture as an investment. People haven't got their heads around how big this NFT and social tokens thing. I keep bleating on about it. It's much bigger than anybody yet understands. So I just think this layer, this whole digital asset space, if we go 15 years, is probably 300 plus trillion, maybe even 500 trillion. Sounds a ridiculous number, but it's not, because the equities business is 200 trillion. Well, how much of that's going to be on blockchain? All of it. The bond industry, how much of that's going to be on blockchain? Well, the Europeans are already testing it. France have been testing it, and the European Central, not the European Central Bank, whichever one it is, have been testing it. So all bonds are going to be on blockchain. My guess is by that time, we'll start to be putting property on blockchain. So blockchain is not like an asset anymore. It is everything.
It's the nature of disruption too, right? You don't disrupt an existing legacy market and just match its size. It's typically orders of magnitude larger. And if we're disrupting legacy, everything from financials, insurance, everything you just related, the aggregate of all those, the end result of that disruption should be orders of magnitude larger aggregate market cap.
Great point you raise. How much bigger is the internet than the legacy telephone business? How much bigger was the mobile industry versus the legacy? They're all bigger than each other because they all layer on top of each other and create network effects.
Exactly. New industries we don't even expect, right? Like look what the car did for oil, gas, infrastructure, roads, everything in between.
And that frustrates me in the space that people just want to think it's one thing. And I just think it's everything. Once you open your mind to the embarrassment of riches that this total disruption of basically all business models is, this is the biggest opportunity anybody's ever going to be given in their entire lives. And what we're doing right now is fighting over small parts of it. And it just drives me so crazy when the opportunity for everybody is enormous.
What do you think about this whole metaverse thing? I feel like this is a big buzzword right now. It's really foreign to me. I don't know what the hell people are talking about. Can you just at least kind of just give us a high level of what this even means and how you kind of envision this whole metaverse thing?
Think of it as the ongoing digitization of everything. So Will, if we'd have done this 3 years ago, we'd have had to be in a studio together, right? And we would have had cameras, and then we could have used mobile phones, and then we go onto Zoom. So now we are in 3 different places. in different countries, we're doing this digitally, and it's now normal. Feels like we're in person, right? I would say that I met you. I wouldn't say, oh, I saw a digital representation of Will. I've met Will. So this is the movement towards that. This whole digitalization of money is the movement towards this. It is the digital society where we move fluidly between the physical world and the digital world. You can't yet see it coming because it's happening everywhere. What Facebook announced is something I was following a long time in advance, saying they're going down this route. But that's just one part of it. Apple are building out AR on their phones, where you will just be able to move stuff around. You'll see your phone, and there'll be all sorts of representations of the world that we live in. This blend between the digital and physical world, this is not a game. This is not one player, it's not Ready Player One where there's one world. This is the logical conclusion of what is happening at lightning pace right now, which is the digitization of everything. So it is a really, really interesting thing. What's really interesting about crypto in all of this is that the outcome of the digitization of everything is free. Digitalization drives everything to zero. So here we are on this Zoom thing. How much should we be paying for this? Well, probably quite a lot of money, because look at what it's doing. It costs us fuck all. It's incredible. Now, I think we're going to digitize energy, which is by using renewable resources. I think we drive the energy cost down to zero. Imagine a world of that. We can't get our heads around it. Crypto did one thing, is put the brakes on and said, some areas we can create scarcity in digital world. Now that's really clever, because without it, everything goes to zero. But with scarcity in crypto and NFTs particular, it creates things that retain their value in this digital world of massive deflationary pressure. So it's huge what is coming. And crypto it's just a game until you get crypto, and then it becomes an economy. And we're creating economies. We're creating economies around communities. We're creating communities around games, which are communities. We're creating digital sovereign states. It's all happening at a speed that none of us can comprehend.